Oh, Ubisoft, Ubisoft, Ubisoft. They just cannot catch a break, can they? So, recently some news has been making the rounds about Assassin's Creed Shadows and how it's going to feature de novo anti-cheat and forced account linking with Ubisoft Connect, which, to be honest, this stuff is pretty par for the course with Ubisoft. I expected it, honestly. And it's only honestly one of those things that I still don't like because, I don't like being tied to an online account for a single player game. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be perfectly frank. But what is really making the rounds with this news story that is kind of something that a lot of people haven't really picked up on in the past, even though I do believe it was in previous Ubisoft end user license agreements, is that Ubisoft will be probably, more than likely, monitoring your RAM in order to make sure that you do not be cheating at Assassin's Creed Shadows, to make sure that you're playing the game above board. And honestly, this is just another bit of bad news involving Ubisoft on top of bad news on top of bad news. And honestly, people are kind of getting sick of it. Like I'm gonna be frank, and I'm gonna say Assassin's Creed Shadows is gonna be genuinely shocking if that game actually does end up selling decently, because there has been nothing but bad press and bad PR at Ubisoft lately. And while I'm looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows, mostly because Assassin's Creed in Japan is just a match made in heaven, like that the concept alone has kind of got me. I don't think this game's going to do well. For one thing, it's coming out in around the same time period as a bunch of other major releases, and this on top of everything else with like the monitoring RAM is just another thing that's just gonna hurt the game. Now, in regards to this monitoring your RAM sort of dealio, I do believe it might actually be linked to anti-cheat, because essentially in previous Assassin's Creed games, I believe they did have an anti-cheat software to make sure that you weren't cheating at the game. And I honestly do not understand the point of this. Like, if you're playing a single player game, who cares? Cheat. Who cares? Who gives a monkeys? Like, it's one of them weird things I never really understood when companies chuck in anti cheat on single player experiences, because, like, it's a single player experience. You're not harming anyone. Cheating is only really a problem when it ruins the gameplay experience of someone else. That's my personal thoughts on the matter. Like, say you're playing, I don't know, Call of Duty, and you're cheating on that. Well, that's a no-no. That is ruining the game for other people. So that's completely understandable. But on a single player game, I just really do not understand the purpose. And that's my understanding of why the monitoring your RAM is in the end user license agreement with this. It's not like Ubisoft are trying to do any kind of like key login shenanigans, it's purely for anti-cheat reasons, but I don't know, it's just unnecessary, and honestly, it's just gonna hurt the game more and more because people like mods. Stuff like this makes modding harder. People like cheating in their games because they want to unlock things that normally wouldn't be able to unlock, or give themselves fun little quirky abilities like, say, moon jumping in some games, for instance, Just things to change the game up and have fun after they beat the main game. I don't know. I think that, like, Ubisoft's got, like, this really weird iron grip over a lot of their games. And I think that needs to be loosened, to be honest. And I've been vocal plenty of times in the past about that de nouveau, about DRM, and just Ubisoft Connect in general. Like, personally, if I was in charge of Ubisoft right now, I would make a lot of changes in that company, because they're just making silly decisions. And honestly, half the problems Ubisoft are having right now are easily solved. And that's the annoying and most frustrating thing about it. A lot of these problems, well, conceptually, they're easily solved. I'm sure there's hierarchical issues in the company that makes things more difficult because it's such a ballooned, massive corporation. But the people at the top, like, there's genuinely, all they really need to do to turn Ubisoft around is, like, focus on game quality rather than quantity. Just maybe downsize a lot of the budget because the budgets are way too much. Get rid of like forced online on single player stuff that will immediately bump up their sales because people will be like, hey, I'm buying the game, that means I own the game, and that's what people like. People like owning their games. Granted, I know I'm talking about the company that did say people should get used to not owning anything, so, you know, it's one of them weird problems, but it's like, it just seems like every month now, not even every month, every couple of weeks, Ubisoft seems to be having new news popping out that's just genuinely making things seem worse for them constantly. Like they've had nothing but bad PR, and half the time it's a simple decision at the top could have been made just to be like, do this or do this, and they always seem to be going the bad route with situations, you know? It's a frustrating deal because Ubisoft is a company that has a lot of potential. They have an insane amount of potential behind them, you know? And they're just squandering a lot of it just due to how they're running things, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I've spoken at length about this before. I don't know if I've done it on YouTube. I've spoken with my friends at length about this before, where it's like, goodness. So sort your stuff out, Ubisoft, please. Like, you don't need anti-cheat in single-player games. You don't need to do half the things that you guys do. This is more of just a little mini rant, really, because, like, again, like I said, it's frustrating, you know? It's really frustrating. I just don't understand this company. Every single time something good could potentially come out, they do something stupid that pisses everyone off and turns everyone against the company, and it's like a constant cat and mouse chase, you know? Ugh, jeez. But I digress. All in all, essentially, what I'm mainly getting at to this is like, I just don't understand the point. I don't understand the point of half the things Ubisoft do. Like, their online-only stuff, I understand their idea of stopping piracy, but seriously, it's a goose chase at this point. There's no point. And then monitoring RAM to stop to stop cheaters. All well and good on a multiplayer game. What's the purpose of it in a single player game? You know, stuff like this just baffles me. I just don't understand them. Here's hoping that Ubisoft, sort themselves out, because they are probably the most frustrating company out there right now, aside from Nintendo. Nintendo's frustrating for other reasons, mostly due to their emulation stances and weird anti-fan stance that they have with things. But Ubisoft, again, it's like a couple of changes at the top, a couple of singular decisions could easily turn this company around. I'm just hoping that Ubisoft do those decisions, you know? But I digress. It's just one of them weird ones. I just saw the news article pop up about the monitoring RAM, and I'm just like, for God's sake, guys. Come on. Come on. But I digress. Anywho, that's all I really gotta talk about with this. I just wanted to ramble a little bit, because it's just... they frustrate me. They're so frustrating. It's insane. But with that, I shall bid you all adieu. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you again.